Hey, how you doing? So welcome to this week's One Image My Edit. And this week I'm going to be showing you how to create a documentary style edit using Adobe Lightroom. So this has come around because I've had a few people ask me to do a tutorial on black and white editing and something that is simple and easy to understand. So I have reined it back a little bit this week and going to be showing you a really simple edit, and you can do this literally in 5 minutes. So let's jump straight in, and as you can see here, we've got a lovely documentary style image here. Let's just reset this so that we can go back to the beginning. So I'm just going to come back to my history, and you can see there's all the steps that you need to do within this. So the first thing you want to do then is turn it to black and white. That's the obvious thing. So at the top here you've got the treatment, you've got color and black and white. So let's click on black and white, and now Lightroom is going to process that for us. So it's looking quite good actually. I do love Lightroom's black and white option straight out the bag. It does look really nice. But let's jazz it up a little bit and make it look a little bit like an analog style shot. So to do that, we're going to increase the contrast. Now I do like really punchy contrasting images, so I'm going to go to around +20. Again, depending on your style and your image, you can increase that or decrease that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to the highlights and shadows. So I'm going to bring the highlights down to -20, and I'm going to bring the shadows up to +20. So that gives us a little bit more contrast as well within them two shades. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to jump to the whites, and I'm going to increase them by +50. So the reason why I'm going so extreme is because this particular image has a lot of sky in it, and when we're doing light readings, when we're taking pictures, especially with analog, with film photography, we would have used spot metering mode just to get the exposure on here. So this would naturally blow out. So this is kind of more of a straight out of camera from a negative perspective. That's what you would get. So let's come to the blacks then, and then just increase them blacks because we want to add a little bit more contrast there. So we're just bringing them blacks up. We're lightening the blacks. If we go this way, that means we're darkening the blacks, and you can see we're just pulling them up a little bit. There we go. So we're just making them a little bit lighter. Okay, then the next thing we want to do is I'm going to add a little bit of texture and a little bit of clarity to this. So texture, I'm just going to come to +10, and clarity, I'm going to go to +30. And the reason why I'm doing that is because that is, as you'll see, it's just going to separate the subject for us. So there we go. So that is kind of giving me the look that gloss paper would give. That's why I used the +30 and +10. That for me is it gives it a very gloss look. Okay, so then the next thing is to come down to the tone curve. So the tone curve, we're going to do a bit of work in here, not too much, but we are going to change all of the colors on here, and I'll explain why. So first thing I'm going to do is click up the top here just so we can isolate the whites, and then down here so we can isolate the blacks. And what I'm going to do is just start pulling these blacks down a little bit because, like I said, I like punchy images, so I'm going to push that up a little bit. Now we could matte these blacks off a tad, just a little bit, just by pushing that ends up there. That again will give us quite an analog style to the overall image. And then in the center point here, so the mid-tones, I'm just going to bring them up a little bit. And yeah, that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to just pull these whites up so we get a bit more of a steeper S curve, you can see there. So what I'm going to do from there is pretty much follow the same kind of contours with these colors here. So it doesn't have to be exact, but you can you can obviously jump back for reference points there so you can get it exact if you want. I'm not too worried about getting it exact, but you can take your time with it. So let's just push that up there. Let's just bring these up. And that's pretty much, yeah, that's quite good. Let's matte this end off as well. Let's keep it so it's all the same. Actually, I'm going to bring that down a little bit. because what I don't want to do is introduce too much red up here. So let's just bring that back down. That's why we isolate the whites up there, so we can do that, so we can really control it all. There we go. Same with the greens, so let's just isolate these again. Let's just bring these down, and then let's have a look at these midpoints. So again, I'm looking at the skin tones. I don't want to add too much magenta, I don't want to add too much green. I am going to change the colors down here in a minute anyway, so this isn't the final outcome. So it's about there. I think it's going to push that a little bit further up and matte these blacks off, or these greens should I say. So let's do the same with the blue. Oh, let me just do that. So let's just come down. If you do make a mistake, if you put an extra dot in like that, you can just double click and that will get rid of them for you. So let's bring these blacks down. Let's have a look, because again I don't want to add too much green into this. Yellow rather. So let's just push that up a little bit. There we go. So most of the work from this particular image is done here. It's all done within the tone curve. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So if we look at the tone curve before and after, so everything that we've done, you can see there, that's the before and that's the after. So there's a lot of work gone into that, as you can see. And we are leaning towards more of a blue-green tinge, you can see there. But like I said at the beginning, I do like Lightroom's native black and white. It is beautiful. But this, I want this to look, like I said earlier, a little bit more like an analog style shot. So let's go to these colors then. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the reds up. I'm going to push them reds up a little bit. In fact, I'm going to do that to the oranges and the yellows at the same time as well. So let's just push them up there. There we go. And green, I'm going to bring that right down to -20. And the blue, I'm going to push that up to around +30, around there. And the aqua, I don't really want to adjust that because there's a lot of that shade. Yeah, that's fine. Within this particular, that's fine. But you may want to either drop that or push that up, depending on your image and what colors you have in it. Okay. I'm going to leave the purple and the magenta for now. So you can see, again, let's have a look what we've just done. So again, adjusting in colors, you can see it makes another dramatic effect, but that has neutralized the adjustments that we've done in the tone curve. You can see up here, we've got green in here, and you can see what I've just done is taken that out here. So we've neutralized them colors there. So it's given us a black and white shot back. And that's looking pretty good. The next thing I'm going to do is just literally sharpen this, go to around +20. Actually, no, about +10, I think. And masking, let's hold the Option or Alt key, push that up, and let's just get the edges there. So we're just getting the edges, and that looks pretty good to me. Detail, we can leave at 25, that's fine. That is looking quite good. Now, if you want to take this a step further, you can by adding in some grain effect. So your grain effect is going to give you, again, that analog style, that analog feel. We can decide on the size of the grain, if you want it to be big or small, and the roughness of that, so the kind of the roughness of the paper that we're going to be using. So if I go to, let's go to 200%, and yep, 200%, there we go. So we can kind of get an idea of what we're getting if we actually add that. Now again, you don't have to add this, but I think it's quite nice. I'm going to bring the size down to around 15, and I'm going to bring that roughness down to about 10. There we go. So that's quite good. And what you'll find is with if you ever use grain, is that it can just bond and everything together. It just gives something for the whole of the edit to kind of grasp to. It's actually quite nice. And the other couple of things we can do is we could matte these blacks off a little bit more if we wanted. There's not much in it in this particular shot because we've isolated the blacks quite low here. We've pinpointed them there. But you can do that more, and you could also do that with the whites as well, and that's going to give you more of a grey, as you can see there. The the blue starting to come in, because then whites are dropping. So in this one I'm going to leave it because I actually quite like that effect. That's what we were going for. So that's it. That is how you do it. It's a really simple edit. There's not a lot in there. Most of the work is done, like I said, through the tone curve. These here are pretty much standard adjustments, so you can obviously adjust these, increase these, decrease these depending on your particular image. And again, the texture and clarity, you can play around with that as well. So this, you know, this edit with any style within Lightroom, with any edit that you make, it has to be down to your picture. But for this particular shot, these settings work really, really well. These will work on yours. You just have to adjust them accordingly. Okay, so you can see there we've got the before and after. So we've got the color, which is quite nice as it is, but this black and white has really gone down that analog film look and printed on a glossy paper. That's the kind of style that I was going for, and that's pretty close to the results I used to get back in the film days. So that is, yeah, that's not a bad edit. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and do them settings on your images, see how they turn out. Like I said, just tweak them, change the highlights and shadows and the tone curve accordingly. You can isolate the middle points there. If you prefer it to be a little bit more contrasty like me, you can push it up. If you want it a little bit more flat, then of course you can bring that down as well. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that. Again, it's a really simple edit for anybody to do, but it's a really good starting point to learn about Lightroom, but also creating your own style of presets. So if you wanted to say this is a preset, then all you'd need to do is come up to the top here on the left hand side where it says presets. You can click on the plus button, create preset, and I'm going to call this documentary, and I'm going to save that into my DSLR Guru. There we go. And we can also, on here is auto black and white mix. We can select that as well if we wanted to, and then just click create, and that's it. And then if we come down to the presets, which are here, we just find the documentary, which is there. So that is that particular preset there. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.